Reactions are pouring in this morning after President Biden's first State of the Union address, including many thoughts from the Republican Party. So joining us now to weigh in on last night's speech is Congressman Lloyd Smucker of Lancaster County. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, we want to start with what President Biden started with. And he addressed the crisis in Ukraine, saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. So first and foremost, do you think this was the most pressing issue to start off with? And what did you think of his message?
I think he did start off with the right issue, and there was solidarity in that room, Republicans and Democrats agreeing with him that we must stand against Putin. We're appalled by what we're seeing unfold there, and we're inspired by the Ukrainian people who are defending their homeland against all odds. But the president, unfortunately, didn't go far enough. Like, why, in heaven's sake, are we still buying Russian oil? We are sending $75 million per day to Russia to buy their oil. This is funding their campaign. And in fact, the energy policies of this administration leading up to this situation in Ukraine are what led to it. Some of the first decisions that the president made were to cut off American supply of oil, increasing our dependency on Russia and on other countries. That gave Putin, that and the weakness that he saw in Afghanistan, gave him the license to do what he's doing in Ukraine. So what I want to see from the president on this is a plan on how we will stop him. He's the commander in chief. I'm hearing a lot of talk about standing with the Ukrainian people, but how do we plan to stop Putin? Number one, let's stop buying their oil.
And I know President Biden did announce in the speech that some other NATO countries are going to go into reserves. And obviously, the Republican Party has been talking about the same thing that you're just talking about. If that were to change, though, how quickly could we even see the impacts here?
Well, listen, we have to send a strong message. We need to take every step possible to increase sanctions, including sanctions on energy. That's been taken out of the sanctions that have been put in place. We need to provide weapons and ammunition, lethal power. And in fact, they've been asking for that for months. Had we done that earlier, Ukraine would be in much better position to counter Russia now. But it's not too late. We must do everything we can going forward.
And another big topic, of course, was inflation, what we're dealing with here in the United States. You know, the president had said that he addressed a lot of policy issues that he wants to change. And so we want to know what you think. Was that talk on inflation good enough? What needs to be added to help the American people?
Well, I think, again, in this situation, the president recognized that we have a 40-year high in inflation. It's in fact impacting Americans everywhere. By the way, I hear from hundreds of people across my district who are postponing retirement, who are taking another job, who are not taking vacations. This has a real impact on the American people. But again, the president came up short on solutions and didn't acknowledge the fact that the policies he put in place led to this in the first place. He cut off the energy supply, cut off the production of energy here. So that's why we've seen gas prices rise 60% in the last year, which is one of the big drivers of inflation, and then spent trillions and trillions of dollars printing money, putting that additional money into the money supply. And so we predicted a year ago that these policies would lead to inflation. And unfortunately, that's where we are now. So I wanted to hear solutions from the president on how he planned to combat inflation. And all we heard was more proposals to spend more money.
We have about 30 seconds or so left, but what do you think is the solution to help inflation? One of the biggest things we're dealing with, you know, housing prices, car prices. What do you think will fix even a little bit of that problem?
Just look back to what we did with the TCJA and look at the impacts on the economy. We need less spending, less taxes, less regulatory burden, rely on the American people rather than the growth of government that we heard last night in the speech.
All right, Congressman Smucker, thanks so much for joining us this morning. And then still ahead, in about 15 minutes, we'll be talking with Democrat Senator Bob Casey for his thoughts and takeaways on the State of the Union address as well. Fox 43 Morning News, we'll be right back.